Are you a pitcher that is dealing with a stiff mid-back area either every time after you throw or every time after you pitch? I want to show you today a common thoracic spine mobility exercise that I do with guys and how to make sure you're performing correctly without compensating through other ways that I've seen in my practice. How do I know this? My name is Dr. Jeff Lewis. I'm the owner and physical therapist of Lewis Physical Therapy and Sports Rehab in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, and I have helped countless baseball players get stronger and back to throwing pain-free after an arm injury. So we're going to go over today the cat-cow exercise for thoracic mobility. And you might be saying, well, it's a pretty simple exercise. Why are we going over that today? Everyone does it. There's a certain way that I want to cue the cat-cow exercise that is probably different from the way that most people have done it. More often than not, when people have done the cat-cow exercise, it's just this one big movement, moving everything together one way and the other way. And while that's not a bad way to do it, there's just a better way to do it. So instead of focusing on going one big motion in each direction, I want us to start thinking about going segment by segment. So we go head and neck first, then mid-back, then lower back. So it's going to look more like this. So I'm here first. My head and neck go first. I've not moved anything else. Then my mid-back, then my low back. Now from here, to reverse it, I'm going to go at my low back and tailbone first, then my mid-back, and then my head and neck. Now, where I want to really focus on, though, is when we're going into extension, so straightening of that mid-back. More often than not, when you tell guys, hey, get your shoulder blades down and back, when you tell guys, hey, stand up straight, they just end up using their shoulder blades to pull them down and back. While that is a good motion, we want them to have proper strength and control of for those scapular retraction depression, especially when you're getting into layback. We don't want that to be at the expense of having true thoracic spine extension. So what I cue guys more often than not, I have them in the tabletop position here, and I want them to start with just pushing their shoulder blades around their trunk. When they do that, when I'm rounded like this, they're just pushing away, pushing their upper body away from the trunk. Now from here, what I want to focus on is your ability to straighten that mid-back while keeping those shoulder blades pressed forward. So what we don't want is when we go straighten that mid-back, it's falling in like this. That's not true thoracic spine extension. Those shoulder blades want to be pressed forward. You might even feel it working a little bit down in the armpit area. They're pressed forward, and you're just going to go ahead and just start extending that spine. It's a very small movement. You're going to feel, though, an almost intense, dull stretch or contraction along that spine. You don't want it to be felt off to the side by the trunk or whatnot. You want it to be felt directly along that spine. So again, head and neck down, rounding, low back, again, staying pressed forward here, upper back, and then neck. So you can see it looks like I'm getting a lot less movement compared to the first time I did it, but that is more true isolated thoracic spine extension, which again, we need sufficient extension at thoracic spine in order to properly place our arm into the late cocking, layback, and eventually layback position. If we don't have thoracic extension and rotation as well, if we don't have that baseline of thoracic extension, it's going to really limit our ability to get our body in the proper position from a throwing mechanic standpoint. When we can't get in the right position, that usually ends up meaning we compensate elsewhere, which ultimately ends up being more stress on the arm. So if you're a baseball player or pitcher that's looking for some guidance or some new ways to improve their thoracic spine mobility, aren't sure how to do so, go ahead and leave a question below in the comments section. Like and subscribe to our channel. We put out a ton of content on a weekly basis dedicated specifically to